Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Welcome back. Force here from Force Strategy Gaming. I've got a StarCraft 2 commentary for you today. This matchup is going to be between NosLoki and oGsCarmel. We can see Carmel spawning up here in the upper right position of Xel'Naga Caverns as our red Protoss player, and down here in the bottom left is NosLoki as the blue Zerg player. Just going to be a single game, not a best of series or anything like that. In fact, if I do any additional games beyond this one today, they're just going to be single games as well. I don't really have a lot of best of series at my disposal at the moment, so just going to try to do a couple of single cast games. But anyways, we can see NosLoki, of course, moving across the map right now with his Overlord. Major concern is avoiding that initial Stalker, but he should be okay for that. Were this a Terran opponent, he would actually not be sending that Overlord clear across the map because Marines are out quick enough to be able to actually shoot that OV out of the sky. However, if you're against a Protoss player, since they have to wait for that cybernetics core before they do have any anti-air, that gives you just enough time to actually get that Overlord and sneak him right back in this position. Another popular position as well will be right over here. So yes, NosLoki continuing to move that ever so slow Overlord across the map. Second Overlord will be actually headed on over in this direction, and he may very well be using it to spot for when he gets an expansion. He wants to know if Carmel is doing anything fanciful with that probe. He wants to know if there's any kind of pylon harass, possible cannon harass at the back of the expansion as well. It's something I've seen in the past. I haven't really seen much of it lately, but it's definitely not impossible to see from the Protoss player. Back over here for Carmel, just getting up that assimilator right now. He does have that gateway about halfway done, so we'll be working up into that cybernetics core in a moment after, and there goes that pylon to follow up that gateway to, of course, prevent that supply block. Oh, Force, how you state the obvious oh so often. I'm sure there'll be trolls raging in the comments, but you know what? If you don't like it, go watch something else. That's the beauty of YouTube, and that's the beauty of this here country, America, is that you only have to do what you want, and if you don't like something, you can avoid it. So that's pretty awesome stuff. But anyways, yes, Carmel coming out now with that cybernetics core. We'll be interested to see if he decides to get an initial Zealot or not. Sometimes you will see players wait and maybe go for that sentry follow-up or even that Stalker. But no, going to start off with that Zealot. Make sure that he does have that full wall off to prevent any Zerglings from being able to get on into his base and do any scouting and possible harass. Second assimilator coming out, and that's just about finished right now. We do have that cybernetics core about to finish as well. Now back over here for NosLoki, starting off with those initial 4 Zerglings, then moving right into his expansion. So very, very standard opener. He will just be sticking with those 4 Zerglings, using them for scouting purposes. He pulled 2 guys off of the extractor, so now just has 1 mining drone getting some gas. We'll be using the rest to try to pump up his minerals. That will allow him to get a very strong economy early on. Now we do have a little split here of the Zerglings. One of them grabbing that Xel'Naga tower. Second one actually moving over here. And you can see he's rallied all over the place. He's checking for possible proxy pylons, any possible hidden tech as well. And there's that Overlord, as mentioned, with just barely enough time to be able to sneak his way on there. Right after that Stalker pops. And uh-oh, the Zergling in danger. He gets taken out by the Stalker. So already Carmel with an early lead. And NosLoki doesn't need to be careful with this Overlord as well, because if that is spotted by Carmel, he's pretty much got the free kill. Although, of course, NosLoki could respond by building some Zerglings to take out that Stalker, as he would be vulnerable in the center of the map. We'd have a sentry coming out, and it looks like Stargate as well. So we've got a second gateway, a sentry coming out over there, and there's the Stargate. So, wow, very interesting opening here from Carmel. Going to decide to go with some air harass opener. And you can see he's actually going to be targeting that Overlord initially. He's got a Void Ray coming out, so we'll be starting out with some Void Rays. We'll be interested to see if he decides to go massive Void Rays early on, or if he throws some Phoenixes in the mix in order to go harass. And, you know, just a Phoenix or 2 to lift off the Queen, and then the Void Ray itself is going to be more than enough DPS to be able to take it out. Now, we do have an Evolution Chamber coming out right now for NosLoki. His expansion is up. Should be transferring over some workers right now. There we go. So we got a bunch of drones working their way right on over to that expo, trying to get that nice and saturated. NosLoki just sitting on the 2 queens. He does have a Spore Crawler coming out as well, and that's going to sit right in his mineral line now. I am interested to see precisely what NosLoki has scouted. He hasn't really seen all too much, just the units at the front, and that is a giveaway in and of itself. Gives you basically a fair idea of what's going on, but now especially spotting the Void Ray right now. NosLoki getting that Overlord target fire down, and now fully aware of the fact that that Void Ray is in play. Now, it actually doesn't look like Carmel's doing any follow-up right now. In fact, he will be moving right into an expansion. That is a very interesting decision indeed. Instead of massing up those air units out of that Stargate, he will be going into an expansion. That will be scouted right now by NosLoki, because NosLoki is moving his way right up to that Expo, and he wants to be sure of what's going on. So there you go. Now he knows right now, okay, there's not going to be too much air harass because Carmel has expanded. So now he probably isn't all that concerned. He does have a third queen coming out, and yeah, he's sitting on 2, so there's queen number 3. And he should have no problem, again, against just this one unit, where there are a couple of Phoenixes thrown into the mix. And again, realize this is the primary reason that NosLoki wants to move forward and scout that expansion. Now, he's going to continuously scout. He wants to keep constant eyes on that Nexus until it actually finishes warping in, because he wants to make sure that this isn't a fake Nexus. He wants to be 100% confirmed that, yes, the Carmel has expanded, and then he doesn't have to worry about some sort of crazy 4 or 5 gate plus Stargate all in push, because those things can certainly happen. So here we go, Void Ray moving on down. We'll be trying to target fire the queen, but unfortunately, because of that Spore Crawler, that's going to be enough to force that Void Ray back right now. So Carmel forced to push away. Of Zerglings dancing around the map, one situated here at the Zelnaga Tower. At the moment, Carmel just actually sitting on those 2 gateways. He's got a third just about finished right now. He does have a second Void Ray coming out, but again, we saw early on, after that first Void Ray, he didn't produce any more for quite some time, and realized again the reason behind that is because he wanted to come out with his expansion. So it's kind of just a little bit of scouting and harass, and that's the whole purpose of this initial Void Ray, and then possibly trying to psych out NosLoki into thinking there was heavy air coming. But again, NosLoki, being a professional player that he is, made sure to scout that expansion, made sure it was there, and then made sure it finished, just so we could be aware again as to what is going on. We are seeing some nice creep spread here from NosLoki. Now we do have a second Void Ray on the map right now, so there's this one with 2 kills, and there's this one, hasn't got any kills yet, but it's going to do what he can. Looks like they will be moving in opposite directions right now. One Void Ray heading towards that natural expansion, and the other one will be making its way down to the main. Speedland's continuing to scout right now. Now, we do have a robotics facility coming on through, as well as that Forge. Going to be able to start to get those upgrades with that Robo, likely to get an Observer first, and then possibly work his way into Colossus. We'd have that one Void Ray. We'll be engaging the one Queen. Now, the Queen should be trying to push back to any additional Queens or that Spore Crawler. However, not able to get that right path there, and unfortunately, that Queen is going to get taken out. Very nice there by Carmel, managing to take out that one Queen. It may not seem like a lot, but every kill counts, and just getting a little bit here and there is what it takes to you know, get yourself ahead in these games, get that strong advantage, and then eventually once that big engagement goes through, put yourself in a solid position. Now, trying to take out that Overlord, unfortunately 2 Queens plus a Transfuse, completely negating that. Now we have a third Void Ray in play, and it looks like there are some more Void Rays. So actually, Carmel, after opening up with that single Void Ray into expand, he's actually going pretty Void Ray heavy right now. You can see his ground forces only consisting of 6 sentries plus those 2 Zealots, so not a very strong ground force, but definitely sitting on a lot of Void Rays at the moment, sitting at a total of 4. He's got number 5 coming through. Also getting the Protoss air weapons level 1 as well from that Cybernetics core, so there you go. Carmel will be going Void Ray heavy. I don't know. He's going to lose this one. Huge miss micro there, walking right under those 2 Hydralisks. That was something he clearly wasn't paying attention to. Looks like he did just kind of A-move that right in there, and unfortunately going right under those Hydras, plus that Queen and the Spore getting a couple shots off as well. Made it to NosLoki had no problem taking out that single Void Ray, and that's the kind of loss you need to really avoid. You know, Carmel was quite a bit ahead, but you can see in losing just that one Void Ray, it caught him up a little bit, so he's now pretty close to where NosLoki is in terms of resources lost this game. And again, that's kind of one of those losses really can't afford to take, especially if you're going such heavy tech, going heavy Void Ray this early in the game. Pretty dangerous because they are so expensive, so if you mismanage them like we saw that there, it can really put you in a tough spot. So at the moment, Carmel is just sitting on these 2 bases. He's got some Immortals coming out to deal with those roaches. What roaches? There are no roaches right now, I don't think. Looks like, yeah, we have 0 roaches, so getting Immortals really not going to do much at all, except for against the buildings themselves. Those Immortals aren't really good against Zerglings or Hydras because none of them are armored units, and of course those Immortals are made to fight against armored units. That's what they're most effective against. So this unit composition really isn't looking the greatest right now for Carmel. Really not that well suited to deal with this mass Speedling Hydra. It needs to be a a little bit careful. Now, obviously, it's all going to come down to position, and if he can manage to keep these Void Rays away from the Hydras, take out those Hydras, and oh, we got a lot of Banelings coming. I was just going to say, if he can manage to take out those Hydras while the Void Rays are still protected, then he'd pretty much be all set. But what do we got going on? We actually have the transport as well as that Overlord speed, so we will be seeing some Baneling dropping here, and this could actually be a huge problem for Carmel. We're going to have to see how this works out. The whole idea for NosLoki is he'll be trying to drop on the main ground force, provide himself some breathing room for those Hydras to take out the Void Rays, and here we go. Here comes that engagement, pushing forward. Should be seeing some force fields. Overlord getting ready to drop right on top of the main force, and there you go. The Banelings doing massive, massive splash damage. Speedlings moving in to mop everything else up, and the Hydras coming up the rear to try to take out those Void Rays. That was so much damage from those Speedlings and Banelings. Unfortunately, though, not enough anti-air right here. There are not quite enough Hydras at the moment to actually deal with these Void Rays, and that's going to force NosLoki to push back now. He does have a couple Banelings getting ready to move on up into that main base here, and let's see if he can manage to hit the resource line. Is Carmel paying attention? It doesn't look like it. And wow, Carmel's negligence proved to be quite beneficial there for NosLoki. That was unbelievable. There's really no reason Carmel should not have seen that. I mean, that Overlord went clear across his main base. He had ample opportunity to respond. Unfortunately, he didn't, and he lost so many workers as a result. So quite unfortunate there for Carmel. And this is the first game I've actually ever commentated for Carmel, unless this is some other professional player using an alias or a different account. But if this is a player that I just haven't commentated, I was going to say it goes to show you the difference between the highest pro caliber level. Okay, as we see right now, Speedling's trying to move forward and get us around right now, and unfortunately, Carmel is going to be losing most of his Stalkers. There are enough Hydras here to actually deal with those Void Rays. Nice transfuse going down on one of those Hydras, and this is going to be enough to push back those Void Rays for the moment. So NosLoki's harass did manage to take out a Queen, I believe, but not actually managing to take out that Expo. Now we can see right now Carmel moving to this expansion at the same time. We get a bunch of Speedlings trying to roll right up into this expansion. Unfortunately, they are running right into all of these Zealots, plus that cannon. They're doing a little bit of damage, and they might have got a couple worker kills and killing off those Zealots as well, but besides that, not much else. Now let's take a look here at the resources lost tab. Looks like Carmel is quite a bit behind. Big part of the reason there, besides losing those Void Rays, took so many losses there in the main base. I just moved forward, and that is not a force that Carmel's units want to engage right now. Very Hydra heavy, and oh no, here come the Speedlings as well, and this is really not looking good for Carmel. He will be forced to cancel this expansion. Hopefully he actually manages to get the cancel and doesn't take those lost resources. Is he going to let it come in? Please cancel. There we go. Finally canceling at the absolute last moment. Good job there by Carmel. Just a couple more Hydras are enough, plus that small force of Speedlings. Now, the biggest thing here, NosLoki forcing that cancel is absolutely huge. We're going to take a look here at the income tab. That's what I'm looking for. And look how far ahead right now NosLoki is. He does have that high yield, nice and saturated, sitting on a total of 3 bases. So he's got quite an economic advantage right now over Carmel. Carmel trying to move out and trying to actually do some damage here. Needs to be careful because NosLoki should be swooping up the backside here and trying to push from both ankles. Does he have enough forces, though? Going to be actually dangerously close to losing the hatchery. He loses the hatchery, and Carmel moving in and sniping that hatchery so very quickly. Those pumped up Void Rays managing to do so much damage so quickly. Very unfortunate there for NosLoki. And that was exactly what Carmel needed to try to get himself back in the game. But here we go, some more Baneling dropping. This time, though, Carmel seems to be paying a little bit more attention, but it doesn't matter. Look at that. Just one big burst there on all those workers, and he lost so many more. So we're going to take yet another look here at the income tab and see how far ahead NosLoki is. Keep in mind, even though he just lost this expansion over here, you see how much work he did to that probe count there? That was absolutely devastating. I want to take a look here at the total number of workers killed, and look at that. NosLoki killing 33 of Carmel's probes so far this game. Absolutely unreal. Carmel trying to expand right here, but that's going to get forced to get canceled again. So unfortunately, Carmel, second time around, not able to get that Expo up. Would have NosLoki getting ready to move on into that high yield again. Would actually like to see him go over here. However, his resources spread very thin. He's just doing what he can to pump out constant stream of units so that he can defend against this push here. We're sitting pretty Stalker heavy, plus those Void Rays, and here we go. Hydra's moving forward to engage right now. DPS of the Hydra is so very good, but unfortunately, the Hydra is very slow, and especially dealing with those force fields can be very frustrating off of the creep there. However, though, Void Rays being at such low HP and relying mostly on their shields, a little bit wary of this massive amount of Hydralists. That's going to force him to push back to his main. We have a couple Overlords getting ready to drop some Banelings here. Hopefully they move forward to engage. Hydras turn around to engage. Here we go, Overlords with those Banelings. They're going to drop right on top of the Stalkers. Stalkers that blink. No, they do not. And there's the splash damage all over those Stalkers. Couple more Banelings getting dropped down. We've got some Speedlings rolling on in to mop things up. Couple Hydras. Do they manage to take off the last of the Void Rays? Yes! Yes, they do. The one Hydra getting the last Void Ray on the board right now, so Carmel forced to call the GG. Carmel opened up this game with a single Void Ray to do a little bit of Overlord hunting plus gain some map control. After getting out that initial Void Ray and making sure that NosLoki spotted it, he then moved his way right on into an expansion. The single Void Ray wasn't able to do much damage and was repelled easily by a single Queen and Spore Crawler. Carmel continued up the Void Ray production, and spotting this, NosLoki moved his way into Hydras. Our first large engagement came at 13:30 as we saw Carmel push down with pretty Void Ray heavy, lots of Stalkers and Sentries as well. Now NosLoki moved his way up into Baneling dropping and was able to get a ton of Banelings to drop on the main force there. Unfortunately, even though NosLoki mopped up most of the ground forces for Carmel, he didn't have quite enough anti-air to deal with the remaining Void Rays and was forced back. Immediately after that engagement, NosLoki moved forward with a single Overlord with some Banelings, and unfortunately Carmel, not paying enough attention, lost a ton of workers to this Baneling drop. Carmel attempted a third, to which NosLoki pushed out against and forced the cancellation. Carmel then immediately counterattacked, and with a few Stalkers and Void Rays was able to snipe down NosLoki's third as well. However, then NosLoki did another Baneling drop and managed to kill quite a few more workers, and this put Carmel severely behind economically and made it so that he could just not afford forces to keep up pace with NosLoki. NosLoki then pushed out for the final engagement, and again, he was so economically ahead even after losing that high yield because of all the Baneling dropping that he did, plus this Baneling drop on the main Stalker force of Carmel. It forced the GG. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this game here between NosLoki and Carmel. I might be trying to get a few more commentaries out for the day, so stay tuned for that. As always guys, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.